Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Foreigner Footy Files. I'm Natalia Pinkney, and this is the Australia folder, File 2, Landing Down Unda. So this week we're going to continue the story of what happened after I hopped on that plane, took the leap, and headed over to Australia to begin my international football journey. But before we continue that storyline, I want to add another element to this podcast. So for me, art and expression have always had a deep place in my heart. And since I was little, from singing in chorus at the church, in school, playing violin, drawing, painting, dancing, all of it have always just meant so much to me and have always been a way for me to express myself. And so this journey and podcast are, yes, meant to highlight and talk about football, but it's also supposed to specify the uniqueness of this journey experience for me as a Black woman. And throughout this journey, I've written a lot of poetry to express my experiences, all the way from the George Floyd experience while I was living in Australia to just, the casual racist encounters that I have in an Aldi while living in Germany. So along with football, this podcast is also going to be a space for expression and art because, as the story is supposed to speak about me and my experiences, art is a big part of me. So, here's the most recent poem that I've written. It's called What's for Me is Mine's. I see a shade resembling mine, striding down the opposite side. Is it commonality, my melanated reality? Making me want to stretch out a hand, striving for unity, crossing the line in the sand. Spaces filled with faces, chilled at the thought of standing beside me, looking oh so distraught. A whisper to a friend in the checkout line as the gossip ends and I come up behind. I step up as my items are rung, me speaking in their tongue, shocked as if they've been stung, when they hear my ability to communicate willingly. Yes, I too understand you. Small places I find myself in chase of, seeking skinfolk, kinfolk, or sisterhood, something to make me feel good. But when those spaces leave no traces, nobody with whom I can dap, snap, and clap back, it causes me to retract. For how can I thrive when all I do is survive? Made to feel I should hide my uniqueness and shine? Well, that ain't in my plans, so I suggest you play your best hand. Those odds may be stacked, but against me, nah, that's cap. So, let's pick back up where we left off. On the long ass flight to Australia. Listen, this is not my first long flight. I took a trip to Brazil when I was about to go into high school, I believe, with my old club team, FC Delco. So I know what a long flight is. But there's something about going to Brazil for like a quick 2 weeks for fun with your club team when you're like 13, 14 years old that makes that flight seem a bit tolerable. And going to Australia to embark on an extremely life-changing experience as an adult, a young adult, that every hour crept by. And then it was like I hit the last 4 or 5 hours and it sped. And I felt my heart racing. I felt my blood flowing. And I just took the time to put on a playlist and just look out the window and experience being in this moment and preparing myself for what was going to turn out to be an extremely life-altering experience. So I was sitting there. We started our descent down to earth. And I look out the window and I was able to see the country from above. And reality really, really hit me again. And I was like, yo, that's Australia. So, like, for one, wow, that's Australia. And two, I'm here. I'm really about to do this thing. So I get off the plane, I'm getting my stuff together, and I'm navigating through the airport trying to find the coach, right? And I am waiting by my bags to get some Wi-Fi because naturally I don't have a phone plan over there. And for some reason, this man decided to approach me. And listen, I've been told several times that I do not look like I'm 28, but there's no excuse for this encounter. So this man comes up to me and he's like, "Little girl, are you lost? Are you okay?" And I was like, "I'm fine." And he's like, oh, you're alone and you look like you need help. I was like, sir, I am 22 years old. I am grown and I'm okay. And he's like, you look so young. I thought you needed support. First of all, why do you believe as a solo older man feel that it is okay for you to approach a young woman who is alone, who clearly is not in distress, to provide support? Red flags. So many red flags. Anyway, that was an interesting experience. So I'm walking through, and finally I see the coach face to face. And it matches the picture because my mother raised me to always make sure that the pictures match up because catfishes exist, scams exist, and people is crazy. So I made sure that this man looked exactly like his picture, and he did. So reality hit again, and I said, okay, no, this is real. This man is who he is. He's who he says. He sounds exactly like he did on the phone, looks exactly like his picture. All right, we're going to do this. So we hop in the car, and we head to his place so I can just catch my breath, take a bit of a shower, because it's a long plane ride. And for any of y'all who have traveled, you be stankin' after you get off of a plane, okay? Don't let anybody try and ever convince you that you can just go on a almost 24-hour flight excursion and not stink, because I know you be humming. So took a shower, got myself all settled in, and then we headed to my first home in Australia with my wonderful host family. I've decided I'm going to omit names. I dropped a name in the last episode. My bad. But I just feel like for the sake of people's privacy and also for when tea is spilled, it's probably best that I keep people's names out of this. So I'm just going to say my host family. And as we're on our way to the host family's house, we're chatting about ourselves and getting to know each other. And funny enough, coming up in conversation, my Aunt Faye. And so for those of you who didn't get a chance to listen to some of the previous episodes, my Aunt Fayette Pinkney was a beautiful, immaculate, famous international singer in a group called the 3 Degrees. And she did eventually break off and go single as well. And she just was always singing. She would leave me voice messages of her saying happy birthday to me, and it's something that I will cherish forever. But we're speaking about her and the group because he's older, and my aunt was famous more in the 70s, so before my time. But a lot of her fame and acknowledgement was overseas, so like Japan, England, apparently Australia, but this coach is from England. And so he's like, wait a minute, the 3 Degrees, I know her. I listened to her, and I was like, pump the brakes. Every time I bring up the 3 Degrees, people were like, oh, I've never heard of them, but sure, I'll give it a listen. This man knew who they was, and I was like, ding, ding, ding. Sign number one that I'm in the right direction, because it was just this weird connection that we had that he knew who my auntie was. And we're talking about the 3 Degrees and how he knows her songs. And my very first tattoo that I ever got, thanks, Mom, says, when will I see you again? And it's the title of one of the 3 Degrees songs. So after my aunt passed away, actually, while I was in Brazil playing football, I decided that my first tattoo was going to be dedicated to her. And so I have her tatted on my hip. And he's telling me how he just loves her music and he's so familiar with them. And that just made me just have another like breath of fresh air to feel like I was in the company of somebody who knew someone who was connected to me. So that was really heartwarming. And that is also important for another file. So keep that in mind, that he knew my aunt and who the 3 Degrees were. Anyway, so we're driving to our destination for my first host family. And let me tell y'all, we going through the neighborhood, we getting closer to the house. These houses were huge. Like, when I tell you huge, I mean like big, okay? Rich, big. And this is no shade. This is like, I was just, like, my jaw hit the floor as soon as he made that turn into the neighborhood. And I was like, oh, these gonna be my neighbors? This is where I'm gonna be living for a hot minute? And listen, I ain't living in like a shack or nothing, but I know a big house when I see one. And it was okay. Let me put it in perspective for y'all. Everybody had a boat. Okay. It was that type of big house. And we pull up and we get out. We go inside, and I am just warmly greeted by my new host family. And they're like, hi, nice to meet you. So the situation was how they even became my host family, because I feel like that sounds super random. Like, oh, you just were dropped off with a random white family in Australia and they just housed you. Kinda, but there is a connection. So the youngest daughter in the family, they had two daughters. The younger daughter played for the club that I was trialing for. So it wasn't completely random. I was staying with them and I would go to the trainings with her and to the games and blah, blah, blah. So they welcome me and they're just so sweet, and they show me to the room that I'll be sleeping in. And I hear a bunch of commotion out back. Now, first of all, I'm in awe of this house in general. And then I go out back and there's a pool and there's like a lake behind the house where their boat's parked in, because they just, be driving around the boat in the lake that's connected to their property. And there's a big behind party going on in the backyard. And I was like, what in tarnation? I was like, I guess people just be getting down like that in Australia. I mean, it is summertime. Sure, why not? Come to find out, y'all, I landed on Australia Day, or as they say, Australia Day, which is basically like their 4th of July in Australia. So I was like, wait a minute, we partying, and I just got here. But mind you, I just traveled for like 24 hours. So no, your girl was not in the mood to be getting lit or none of that. So I was like, all right, I'm going to shake a little booty or something, but drinking is not an option, not at all. Yet, that's not how things go in Australia. You don't tell people no when they offer you drinks on Australia Day. You just kind of take them. And by take and offer a drink, I mean they told me to beer bong a Jack and Coke. These psychos approach me and say, hey, welcome to Australia. It's Australia Day. Bong this Jack and Coke. No. No. The answer was immediately no. But that's not an option, as I said. So your girl may or may not have bonged a Jack and Coke. That's up for debate. There's no video or picture proof as far as I'm aware of, so I'll deny it. But it could have happened. And coincidentally, on the same day, I ended up meeting one of my lifelong absolute best friends. Shout out to you, girl. You know exactly who you is. That's my boo. But she actually was the one who was like, all right, you got to put a tattoo on your bum, go in the bathroom, put it, get it on there, come back out here and celebrate with us. So my invitation and welcome to Australia was on Australia Day with a bunch of people getting hammered. I mean, these people can drink. I don't know if it's because they're on an island, isolated, and they live beach life, so it's kind of like, all right, it's warm out. What else is there to do? I get that, but it's like a talent. They just be putting away, and I was unprepared. I was sleep deprived. I was exhausted. The jet lag was hitting. The time zones were completely opposite. I'm pretty sure it was a 14-hour difference from when I left home, and they got me bonging Jack and Coke. Absolute psychopaths. So we're swimming, we're hanging out, we're talking, and I'm still friends with, I'd probably say about 95% of the people that I met that day, whether through social media or actual contact all the time. So the first day that I landed and moved into my host family's house just began a whole new level of connections for me there. And I'm grateful to this day that I had the beautiful opportunity experience to, one, get to participate in Australia Day, and to meet some amazing human beings. And I was just in awe of what was happening around me. Everything felt surreal. And when you're in an experience and you know that it's happening, but something makes you feel like you need to pinch yourself and wake up. That's what it felt like. Like, how am I, this little black woman from the Philly area, staying in this big behind house, living by a lake, partying with these amazing, beautiful people. Everybody beautiful, by the way. I think I maybe saw about 4 people in Australia that I would say, And I wouldn't even say ugly. Not that anybody is ugly. Everybody's beautiful in their own way. But you know what I mean. Nobody looks bad. Which set the bar in heaven for me. I was like, wait, why everybody looks so good all the time? But like, I was just sitting there looking around like, this is real. This is my life right now. And I've got pictures and videos and, of course, the OneDrive and Snapchat memories that come up to remind me of this amazing day. And as I'm, taking all of this in, I'm just remembering this is the beginning. And you should enjoy every moment, every second, because you earned it, you deserve it, and it's beautiful. And so we went through Stray Day, and everybody is starting to slowly crawl their way out of the house to go home. And as people are leaving and we get down to the final guests, we're sitting in the house and I'm talking to my host family. And, we're taking the time to kind of get to know each other a bit. And I was older than both of their kids. So for me talking to the parents, it was kind of like more of a ability to speak as like adults to adults, which I was only 22. Let me not get carried away here. I wasn't as grown as I am now, but I wasn't a kid either. And so we were just talking about my personal background, their background, likes, don't likes. Obviously, American politics come up, all the things that you want to get to know each other about. And I actually got to figure out that the following day they were having a follow-up party for just the adults to celebrate Straya Day. So they let their kids have the actual Straya Day with all their friends and throw a party and, be young and have fun, which I thought was absolutely amazing. And then the next day, they invited their friends over and then they had the adult Straya Day party. So because I was older than their kids and they considered me more of an adult, I actually got to participate in that party as well. So speaking with some of their friends, come to find out, so my bachelor's degree is in criminal justice, and I've always had a passion for combining sports with advocacy for domestic violence and sexual assault against women and young girls. And speaking to one of the friends, and he's a cop. And we're talking about domestic violence in America and in Australia and the indigenous community, and me being African and Native American, I'm trying to have some points of commonality, speaking about my interests and my future. And I was explaining how one of the things that I really want to do is build a program that is connected with the police department where you have advocates, domestic violence trained certified advocates. They go to the crime scene where a domestic violence call is made and they deal with the victim and the custody with the perpetrator, so they don't have to worry about not enough funds for training, so that, victims don't continuously get killed or not believed, because we know how common that is. Tell me why this man gonna casually be like, oh yeah, in the Aboriginal communities especially, we kind of wait until like the third call comes out and then maybe we check it out. I looked at this man, I said, you realize most women don't make it to the third call? He's like, well, that's just how it is. Ooh, child. I've never been more sure that I was called to do something important, like help with advocacy, no matter what country that I lived in. And, the hope and the dream is to combine it with football in a way. So now I have this fire in my stomach to not only make this team to be able to play football eventually at a professional level in Australia, but also so that I could stay and help with this clearly inept, I don't want to say corrupted system, but just completely neglectful system in their police department to be helping women who are victims of sexual assault and domestic violence. And so now it really felt like another element of this is what you're meant to be. You're supposed to be here. Work towards the things that you can change. And so it was just another spark in me that was like, yeah, I gotta make this team because I got work to do. I need to put all of my background into focus and make sure that I can do what I set out to do, which is make a change and help others. And also, kick around the ball, because it's kind of what I like to do. So I am about to lay down my head to go to sleep that night, and I couldn't. I could not sleep. It was 2, 3, 4, 5 in the morning, And definitely jet lag was a part of it, but also just my anxiety was through the roof because I knew that the next day I was waking up and I was starting my trial with my semi-pro team in Australia. That was the real beginning of my 2 weeks. The 2 weeks trial that was going to make or break my career in international football. What I felt probably wouldn't have been true, but that's what I told myself to motivate and get myself in the right headspace. And so I sat there and meditated and took deep breaths. Eventually was able to fall asleep. And I woke up the next morning to, again, a wonderful greeting by these beautiful people. We had a great breakfast and walking me through the area and things I can do. And then it was time to head to football. So I'm going to this first trial, and although English was spoken in Australia, let me let y'all know, they don't speak English there. It's a version of English. It is not the English that we speak in America, and it's definitely not a version that Black folks be speaking, because Arvo is afternoon. That's just a little peek into the language that I had to learn. Where did you get Arvo from? Arvo afternoon? Come on. Y'all know that's ridiculous. Anyway, I digress. So we show up and I meet the team and I say my hellos and we're warming up and we're getting ready to train, and we get on the field and I am just feeling it. I am confident. I'm smooth with it. My touches are good. I'm finishing. And I actually felt like I can do this. I really have a chance to make this team. And everyone's, asking the questions. Oh, who are you? How'd you get here? How'd you feel about the team? Blah, blah, blah. And by the end of the first training, we're walking back to the car, and me and my host sister are sitting in the car. We're driving back, and she's like, so how do you feel? And I was like, I feel good, and I feel like I'm meant to be here, and I feel like I can stay here, and I'm really excited, and I hope that the team and the coach want me just as bad as I want to be here. And she's like, look, keep working hard. It's going to take some time, but I really think if you want it and you work hard, you can make the team. And I was like, thank you, I appreciate it. And so we get back to the house and we're having dinner together as a family, and we're talking about the day. And that was when I really started to have another retrospective moment of kind of when like the world slows down around you and you have to remember where you are for a hot second. And I was like mid-bite in dinner, and I realized tomorrow is the second day of the 2 week. And it just felt like that. I felt like every day was kind of like a clock counting down to the end of the 2 weeks until I could see if I made this team. And so day one was done. I did what I had to do, put my best foot forward for the first day. And all I could do was continue to do that day by day until the end of the 2 weeks, until a decision was made. So that was the end of the first day of my trials for my 2 week trial with the team, South United. And next time in 2 weeks, we will pick up from here and speak about the rest of the trial time and what the result was at the end of those 2 weeks. So thank you again for joining me in another episode of Foreigner Footy Files. I appreciate everyone taking the time to listen to my story and also now my art with my poems. As usual, we're going to get into our interactive segments. So now it's time for I Wish I Knew That. So I wish I knew how scary it would actually be. Like you put it into perspective of, okay, you're hopping on a plane, you're leaving your home. That's scary. But when you land in an airport by yourself with, and this is a very 21st century thing, no cell service, trying to figure out the Wi-Fi, trying to get all your bags together, looking for the person you're supposed to be meeting, can't find them anywhere. Blessed enough that I was in a country where I spoke the language, kind of, for my first international stop, but nothing prepared me for just how actually scary it was to immerse myself into a complete blank slate of a life experience. These people never met me, I never met them. other than the coach and me and my family having some conversations, there was no pre-meeting, get to know you, nothing. Everything was brand new, fresh in my face. And I wish I was prepared for just how scary it actually was going to be. Because I thought, okay, yeah, it's going to be a bit nerve-wracking, but after I get there and I get acclimated and the time change, and, once I get over the jet lag, everything's fine. That's just the first scary hurdle. Then you have to realize that everything from that point moving forward is based on your performance as an athlete. As a person, too, you can't go out there being a douchebag, but if you can ball, that's what they're looking for. And that was when I realized if I don't play well, that all of the money, time, and risks were for nothing, or what felt like for nothing. And the fear that hit me when I laid down to bed that first night, and even the second night, was just crippling. And I wish I knew how gut-wrenching that feeling was going to be, because I don't know how you prepare for something like that. If you've never done it, there's nothing you can prepare for. You have no idea what you're expecting. But it was almost as if I had this level here that I was expecting, and it was way up here. Okay, the level of fear that I felt, that everything was literally residing in my body's ability to kick a ball well. That was it. Can I pass? Can I shoot? Can I score? Header balls, communication, movement off the ball. All the technical and tactical aspects of football were flooding through my brain day after day. Do this, do this, do this. Don't mess up, because this is your time. And that struck a fear in me that I was so unprepared for. And like I said, until you do it, you can't really prepare yourself for that type of fear. But I feel like if someone would have talked me through their experience, if I would have heard someone else explain what it was like to have to kind of revel in all of those realities at one time, hitting you on top of jet lag and new territory and new people, and you're the odd one out because, other than a couple Filipino, Asian folks, that was, and some indigenous folks, some aboriginals were in the mix, but for the most part, they white. Basically everywhere I've been. And so it's also this spectacle of you're different going into this new environment. And so it was just all of those fears came in at once. And I just kind of wish I knew how scary that was actually going to be, because one, it's okay to be scared. I feel like I had to put on this front that everything was fine and I was tough and I was ready. You don't have to put on the front. It's okay to be scared, and talk to the people around you about it. I wish I was more open with my host family about how scared I was. I feel like it would have been more helpful for them to talk me through things of, they've lived there their whole lives, so they know that country. They know the social areas. They know how the team works. Their daughter has been playing for the club. God, I wish I knew that it was okay to ask about the club from people that played there. There's no secrets. It's not like you need to earn the ability to get information. You are very much entitled to know about the club that you were trialing for, especially first-hand experiences. So ask questions, Be afraid. It's okay. But also be confident that you were called there for a reason. All right, next segment, trust me on this one. So trust me on this one. This sounds very duh moment and has really nothing to do with football. But in terms of travel, for my people that would be going international, pack smart. Lord, if you ask my partner, he will tell you that I don't know how to pack smart. And he'd be lying, because now I do. But I would be also lying if I said that when I first began traveling internationally that I packed smart, because I did not. 2+ duffel bags, a book bag, laptop bag, another bag. The amount of fees I paid for extra baggage or for extra weight is obscene. I got better. I'm better at it now. I'm one of those European style backpack travelers. You know what I'm saying? I got everything in a backpack. You can't mess with me. I know how to travel. But my first flight, my first travel experience, tell me why. Okay, it was a little bit, coming some slack. It was a little bit of both. All right. So I had to kind of pack between what would be potentially 2 weeks to the rest of the season. right? So it was kind of hard for me to pack. That being said, I need to bring as much as I did. And it made it so hard for me to travel around alone because I had to carry everything by myself through that airport. And so I'm sweating, I'm nervous, I'm anxious, and I got 8,000 pounds of baggage to carry with me through the airport because I did not pack smart. Pack smart, y'all. First of all, it saves you time, it saves you money. And also, when you're in an unfamiliar territory, it is much better to be able to maneuver in those spaces if you're traveling alone, especially as a woman. So, yeah, that's my trust me on this one. Pack smart. All right. Learn all the tricks and hacks of packing as well and flying on airplanes. Use a pillow for the clothes that don't fit because a pillow, it does not count as an extra item on carry-on because everybody needs a pillow to sleep on, right? Especially for those long flights. Put your extra stuff in a pillow if it doesn't fit in the bag. Wear a thick bond jacket. I mean, it'll be a bit weird if you're traveling to Australia in the summer like I was, but leaving America from the wintertime, I could have got away with it. Like, put stuff in the pockets. I saw a hack online where this woman wore a fisherman's vest and she put all her extra stuff in the fisherman's vest so that she didn't have to have extra bags. So all she had was this little vest on. Her laptop was in the back. She had her phone, her purse, extra swimsuits. Y'all, look through them hacks of traveling, all right? Don't be like me. Don't bring 3+ bags for what could have been 2 weeks. But again, in my defense, I was preparing for the future, and I knew it would be staying longer than 2 weeks. Don't judge me. All right, so that is a wrap for this file of the Australian folder. And I look forward to continuing this story in another 2 weeks and speaking about basically the entirety of the trialing process, those heart-wrenching, nerve-wracking 2 weeks that led to a very interesting result. So stay tuned with me to hear about that in 2 weeks. Yeah, you know what to do. The usual: comment, rate, review. Tell me what you think. Tell me how I'm doing. Give me those 5 stars, all the things that help the podcast. Give me some feedback, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm trying to learn and I'm trying to give y'all what you want to hear, you know what I'm saying? But you're also going to hear what I want to tell you. So it's a bit of a balance. Yeah, so if you want to reach me, you can reach me on all the socials pertaining to the podcast. So you can hit me up on my personal Twitter, Battalion Inkney. You can hit me up on the Instagram page, which is public for the podcast, 440 Files. You can request to follow me on my personal Instagram if you want, and Pinky. If you have any questions, suggestions, just want to say hey, let me know your thoughts. You can email me at the official email for the podcast, foreignerfootyfiles@gmail.com. Yeah, that about does it. So thank you again for joining me for another episode, and come back in 2 weeks and let's kick it together. Bye, y'all.